Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
You know what, folks? Only in America could you possibly collect more tax dollars from the people of America than any nation in recorded history, and still spend $1 trillion more than it has per year, for total spending of $7 million per minute, and then complain that it doesn't have nearly enough money. Only in America. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Good morning. Caller with the Pledge of Allegiance, call in. Good morning. Good morning. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and service is the key word, along with some of our great advertisers, including Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them and get on the route service, 734-6969, along with our other friends at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything, and I mean everything, for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valleywide Home and Ranch. Right now, let's say good morning to our Pledge of Allegiance person. Good morning, and sign in, please.
Good morning, Mr. Bell.
Hello, Al.
Send both.
Yeah, and or.
Yeah.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very well done, my friend. Thank you so much, and have a blessed day.
Oh, it's a wet one.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. We do. Thank you. And time for an update on our weather forecast. And that's going to be through our dear friend MichaelRogersWeather.com, brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Don't forget everything for carpet, flooring, kitchen construction, home decor, whatever you need to make your house a home. And by the way, add some greenery to your home. Potted plants and softness and flowers add life to a room. Thank you, Whitney. Hey, don't forget, look for the blue door at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. And right now, here is Michael Rogers Weather.
Only in Idaho, when you got rain in your forecast for a week, the residents of that fine state will say, we need it. I like that. If you took the same weather pattern and took it to San Diego, California, by the time you get to Wednesday, those folks will be at the psychiatrist's office. But there you go. El Nino at its finest is pretty simple. It's going to be wet all the way through Friday. You won't see the sun to possibly Saturday. That's about as I can't get any more simpler than that, because El Nino's kicking in. So what you need is what you're going to get. 68 will be for the high today. You'll stay in the 60s all the way through Friday. The rain itself, you might see a possible thunderstorm. Nothing as far as a major wind event or major severe weather. It's just a typical spring El Nino type of thunderstorm. And by the way, you're going to get a few more of these as you work your way through the summer. But as I stated earlier, only in Idaho, you get a weather pattern like this, and you tell somebody it's going to be wet, and the first words out of their mouth is, we need it. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Excellent weather forecast, MichaelRogersWeather.com. Brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Give them a call at 678-6945. We got a busy morning, and don't forget at 8:31 this morning, we're going to have our cinnamon roll giveaway through our lovely folks over at Sophie's Chatterbox. So don't forget, that's coming up at 8:31 this morning. Don't forget, too, SafeLink Internet, 677-8000, and the first month free plus free installation and no contracts, no credit checks, unlimited data. The number to call, 677-8000. That number again, 677-8000, and that's SafeLink Internet, Idaho's #1 choice, working for you. SafeLink Internet, tell them Zeb told you to call at 677-8000. Oh, and by the way, if you've got the old rumply crumplies, you know, your Wranglers and your sports shirts and the ladies' dresses and, of course, sports jackets, take all your clothes into Darrow's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 878-8900. Kevin and Cindy, the whole crew, really, really good folks and the best at what they do. Cleaning and restoring your clothes to looking brand spanking new. Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Folks, I'm going to be really honest with you this morning. I am extremely concerned about the sleaze and the filth and the abnormal and perverted taking over our society. I have great sympathy for what's going on with the Cassia County School District, with the ACLU peeking and peering over their shoulder and warning all Idaho school districts about what they call discriminatory dress codes, where you can't ask girls to wear a certain colored dress and or blouse, or boys to wear pants. I mean, this is absolutely insane. I'm going to be very blunt. I'm not mentioning any other person's name with this story this morning whatsoever. Everything I say, I will take upon my shoulders, and I will take the blame. Graduation of any magnitude, from junior high, senior of high school, or going into college, is not a freak show. It is not some kind of a, oh boy, I'm going to show everybody up and I'm going to do this. I'm going to go out of the norm. I'm going to disrupt all the activities and festivities. It's me, me, me. No, graduation is a very solemn but yet very uplifting event. And I am sick and tired of hearing from the ACLU and saying that we have to accept, like I said a moment ago, their abnormal and perverted takeover of our society. It's disgusting. And I'll underline that word and say it again. It is disgusting that some of the so-called new normals of a secular society are creeping like vermin into our everyday life. When I read some of what the ACLU had sent to the various school districts, I was absolutely appalled, and you should be too. Girls can wear tuxedos, and boys can wear dresses to the prom and or to graduation. Right there, isn't that enough to just turn your stomach? God, you know, I've said this so many times on the air, many of you are probably sick and tired of hearing it. God does not make any mistakes. Never has, never will. And for people to defy a civilized society of normalcy, and now with the ACLU making threats to not only all the school districts in the state of Idaho, but primarily to the Cassia County School District, and claiming that discriminatory dress codes have been tried to be enforced, I don't know about you folks, but it's time to stand up, be counted, and return to a civilized decency and a civilized, decent society. What about it? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This is ridiculous. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Let's not forget our dear friends at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Good folks. Write this number down, please. It's 678-0459. They open the doors at 7:30 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon, Monday through Friday. And don't forget that we are just days and a few temperatures away from real warm summertime. So make sure your air conditioning is all set to work efficiently. Change the air filters, get everything ready to go. They've got all the quality air filters right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by just a moment, please. I also want to remind everybody that coming up on May 30th, I believe it's May 30th, May 30th, Valley-wide Hoban Ranch, that's the deadline to enter your antique tractor in the Antique Tractor Show they're going to have over there on June 19th and 20th. So be sure and contact Valley-wide and enter your antique tractor. There's going to be a lot of prizes and a huge trophy. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, and they've got everything for all your chickens. They got all the chickens, too. Feed, housing, anything you need for all your chick feeding. And 4-H'ers, that's the place to go for all of your equipment and feed. And if you're a 4-H'er, you get 10% off. So stop over there today at Valley-wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Sean and Mandy, the whole crew, and boy, have they got a fishing department over there, too. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valley-wide Home and Ranch. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hello, Deb. I just want to let you know that I agree with everything you say. I'm an old grandma, but I feel so sorry for these kids nowadays, what they have to put up with, that I just want you to know I'm for you 100%.
Let me ask you a question. I'm sure that you and I are probably in the same age bracket, but...
Oh, no, I'm a lot older than you.
Well, God bless you, but, you know, you got the state of normalcy that we grew up in, and everything is turned upside down. You have to have sympathy for these kids nowadays because they don't know what's right, they don't know what's wrong, they don't know what's normal, and we're looking at a perverted and abnormal stance of the secular society. I, honest to goodness, feel sorry for these kids today.
Yes, it's sad. It really is sad. I just, at my age, I don't know what to do about it. I mean, who do we call? What do we say? It's really sad and disturbing.
Well, you know, I am working on that. I'm going to try to put together somewhat of a rally and a protest, because if we don't stand up pretty soon at our churches and at our schools and in society in general, this sickness, this cancerous sickness is going to take over, and I, for one, am not going to stand for it. And I hope I get a lot of people to stand with me.
Well, good luck to you, and I'm sure there's lots of us right behind you.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
God bless you, too.
Thank you very, very much. I don't know, folks. I can't handle this. This society is going to, you know where, in a handbasket. And the sickness of all this, calling it normal and saying that they have to accept it. I mean, my goodness sakes. Back when I graduated from high school, there was no questioning. Boys would wear dress slacks and a tie and a white shirt, nice shoes. The girls would wear dresses. Hey, boys are boys, girls are girls. But now today, oh no, with the ACLU, what, you have a right to wear a dress if you're a boy, and girls, you have a right to wear a tuxedo or a suit. This is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. And threatening school districts, sending an open letter to all the public school district superintendents and alerting them and reminding them that they cannot say anything about a dress code. This is insane. Absolutely. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, be right there. Stand by. Barry Equipment and Rental. They have the equipment to do any job right and get the job done for you. The best is now even better at Barry Equipment and Rental. And they've got all the Doosan, Bobcat, and Coyote lines. And don't forget, they got a brand new salesperson over at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. His name is Will James. This guy is good. He is sharp. And 3 locations of Barry Equipment and Rental for you. Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln and Jerome, and like I said, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Barry Equipment and Rental. You get a hold of them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, if they can do that, then I have my First Amendment right to tell them and laugh at them and point my finger and harass them all I want.
You know, it's interesting you should bring that up because they've got a non-discriminatory policy to where, no, they will not be made fun of. They will not have any subjection to scrutiny or any kind of physical or verbal abuse. I've never advocated any physical abuse, but I'll tell you one thing. I have had it, Kilt Man, with our society being turned upside down, and what was wrong is now right. What was right is now wrong. Everything is crazy in this society, and I'll guarantee you, like I said a moment ago, graduation or any ceremony like that is not a freak show.
It's not. It's not. It's something to be proud of. It's something to help show respect and that for. So, if you can't do that, then you shouldn't even be going. Shouldn't even be graduating. I mean, if you want to act like that, go back east with the rest of the freaks or over to San Francisco. We're doing fine right where we're at. And if you don't like it, guess what? Be able to put up with the condemnation.
Yeah, but you know something? It's a lot deeper than just this with the ACLU on a dress code, Kilt Man. It is a advocacy for a no-rules society. It's an advocacy to say that anything goes. It's an advocacy for complete chaos and anarchy. You can see that, can't you?
Oh, yeah, I can see that completely. And it's all a great big plan for somebody else to control us, and all these other people are in their pockets, so that's what they're going to do, and we're the ones that are going to end up paying for it.
Yeah.
And our thing is we need to separate ourselves as much as possible from that government. I'd say that a little, with tongue-in-cheek, that, we even listen to them anymore.
I don't know where we're going to head on this thing, but my extreme sympathies and help has been extended to the Cassia County School District, or for that matter, any school district that is subjected to this ACLU idiocy. But you know something, Jeff? Good people with morality and a view to the future from what we used to be in the past. We've got to stand up and fight back. This is absolutely off-the-wall crazy.
Oh, it is. And the other thing is, why is everybody else have to bend to one or two people?
Yeah.
That's the thing right there. They're telling us we have to bend to one or two people that have their heads who knows where, and so we need to let them know that, hey, no, the majority still rules in this country, people. If you don't like it, you leave the country.
And you've got
we don't need you. We don't care about you.
You've got to have some rules and regulations, and you have to have some civilized attitude, and you have to have respect for what God gave us, and I will never weaken on that. For those that are unbelievers, that's your problem, not mine. You have to adhere to the fact that, yes, we have two genders in our society, men and women, boys and girls, and I think there should be rules accordingly. And this is open chaos to let the, like I said a moment ago, the abnormal and the perverted take over.
Well, that's exactly right. Everybody is bending to the few. They're forcing us to bend to the few. It's a whole lot easier to move a few hundred people out than it is to move a few million people out.
Yeah.
So, if there's a problem here, they don't have to stay here. I would just soon take that extra money that we're having to pay in taxes on that, send them off somewhere. They can deal with them.
I tell you what, I'm seeing every day, this last couple of days, I'm seeing so much chaos come into our society. A little bit later on, if I have time, I want to talk about an Air Force general that spoke about praying to God, and now there's an organization called the Military Religious Freedom Foundation that wants him court-martialed. I mean, Kilt Man, this is nuts.
This is totally nuts. You know, this is the land of the free. We have the freedom to do those things. We have the freedom to do what we want, okay, to say what we want, to do what we want, stuff like that. But there are rules, there are regs to keep that freedom.
That's right.
And if you don't want to follow the rules, get out.
Kilt Man, God bless you for your call. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. Man, I'll tell you what, folks. This is one of those topics this morning that has just got me sickened by where we're headed in this country. And so far, the callers have all agreed with me. And I hope there are literally thousands and thousands more that are listening this morning that agree with me. We've got to stand up. This is ridiculous to let these dictates from groups like the ACLU, perverted sick groups, take over and rule and regulate us. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant, and they're located at 611 Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Oh my, Thomas and his staff really have hit home runs at both locations. Unbelievably delicious with great, great service. I mean, fast, speedy service and delicious menu items. We're going to be having our next lunch bunch this Thursday at Denny's Restaurant. Don't forget, come on down and enjoy with us as we celebrate Zeb's Lunch Bunch at 611 Overland in Burley, Denny's Restaurant. It is delicious. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Hi, Linda.
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you for answering my lunch bunch question. Secondly, Wheels is always so polite. Bless him.
He is a very nice young man.
He is.
Yes.
And thirdly, yes, it's what we're doing is we are turning everything, as you say, upside down to create chaos because we are now supreme. We have forgotten the being who created us.
Boy, that's said very well. Said very well, Linda. At church yesterday we were talking about this and how our society is accepting all this garbage and absolute filth from society and taking it on as normal. Are you kidding me? Have we slipped that far?
Yeah, that's what scares me to death. Yeah. But the ones who don't take it on are now the evil ones, the criminals.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say except that we can't take it on. We have to reject it, but we surely have to talk to our younger people and to tell them why and what. And, what's going on and why it isn't right.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
Let me ask. All be wearing something else. It's a matter that goes beyond that.
Yeah.
It's a matter of respect for who and what we are and the important role that each one of us plays.
But, Linda, I got to make a break here in just a second, but I want to ask you this. Our society, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at it and see this, our society is being picked apart, torn apart, and absolutely scaled down to where there are no rules and regulations. Anarchy reigns. Anybody can do anything. This is completely away from the American moral value right now.
Oh, yes, absolutely, totally. It's a path of destruction.
I'll tell you what, I'm really upset about this morning, and I do appreciate your call. Thank you so much.
I read it, too.
All right, Linda. God bless you, and thank you so much.
God bless you, too. See you Thursday.
That lady has the most beautiful voice, and no one can sing the national anthem any better. Thank you very much, Linda Croft. Oh, my. I've got to get something on here real quick, and we're going to have our Capital Press Ag Minute in a minute. Do not forget the Mini Cash Relay for Life coming coming up on June 19th and 20th, starting at 6 p.m. on the 19th, right there at the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo Grounds, with the opening ceremony at 6 p.m. on June 19th. Cancer has hit so many families. Cancer has devastated so many families, and I ask you to be involved and help with the Relay for Life for 2015, the Minnecasia Relay for Life, doing so much to help garner funds for cancer research. Coming up on June 19th and 20th at the Cassia County Fairgrounds. Right now, we're going to have the Capital Press Ag Minute, and the Capital Press Ag Minute is brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology. Christine Pickup, if you're listening this morning, I absolutely will try my best to get a hold of you this week and continue on with the hearing screening. My goodness sakes, this lady is excellent. Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right across from the emergency room of Minidoka Hospital. Number to call for an appointment, 312-0957. Please, I urge you to get a hearing screening. Hearing loss is not a part of aging, and she can help at Mount Harrison Audiology, 312-0957. Here now, the Capital Press Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly. Since appearing in West Coast fruit fields and orchards several years ago, the spotted-winged Drosophila has forced growers to increase their chemical usage. A USDA researcher hopes to give farmers a powerful new weapon against the insect, a pesticide that disrupts critical genes specific to spotted-winged Drosophila but doesn't harm other species. Entomologist Manyon Choi is still early in the process of identifying gene sequences that are critical to the fly's fundamental physical processes or its ability to reproduce. Interfering with the function of those genes would either kill the pest or prevent it from generating viable offspring. Once accomplished, Choi will still have to find a delivery mechanism that will effectively be taken up by the fly. For the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Brandon Tenner.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Thank you very much, Capital Press, and, of course, their great staff. And we say thank you primarily to the lovely lady, Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology at Mount Harrison Audiology, and the number at Mount Harrison Audiology is 312-0957. Call for a hearing screening appointment today. Call her real quick, and then I've got to give away some cinnamon rolls. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Okay, so the reason why so few are getting away with so much is we've got so many people out there who have children in school aren't saying anything at all. They should be marching on to school.
Why are, Tony, you're the generation ahead of me, but why are we accepting this sleaze, this filth, this lower standard in our society? What happened to us?
Well, I think a lot of this is coming from the teachers that are coming into our system right now. They're just a whole new generation of teachers that believe in socialism and communism and the rest of it, and this is what we're facing.
Well, something has got to be done, and I know I couldn't care less if somebody is offended out there in Radio Land about my position. I don't care. I think there's a right. I think there's a wrong. I think there's a black and a white on every issue, and on this issue, we've got to stand up and get to some sense of normalcy and moral value in this country. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, nothing gets done unless people gang up on these school system that we've got here. And I don't know why people aren't doing it. They figure, well, let somebody else do it, but
yeah.
It's not working. Our kids are being corrupted.
All right, Tony, I always appreciate your call. Thank you so much, my dear friend.
Oh, you're welcome, Jeff. Bye.
All right. Hey, it's time to give away some cinnamon rolls and Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. Here is what you're going to win: a half dozen delicious cinnamon rolls. Oh, they are fantabulous. And believe me, it's Sophie's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, open 6 to 6 weekdays, 6 to 2 on weekends, and they've got a wonderful bakery over there. Here is the question, and if you were a previous winner, you are not eligible, okay? So this is open for more people. What president signed a bill making the first Thursday of May National Prayer Day? What president signed a bill making the first Thursday of May National Prayer Day. First person to call, 436-2244 or 1-866-927-4587. With the correct answer is going to win a half dozen delicious cinnamon rolls from Sophie's Chatterbox. What president signed a bill making the first Thursday of May National Prayer Day? Come on, call me quick. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's not that hard. It's really easy. Give me a call. Come on, fast. Hurry. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. While I'm waiting for your call, hurry. I want to remind everybody about Minnecasia Sales. They sponsor Dr. History on Tuesdays. And that's at 10:06. Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main in Burley, right across from the airport. Number to call, 878-2091. They've got all your remodeling project material, your shingles for your roof, your roofing material, windows, carpet, everything, along with the Tartar Farm and Ranch equipment at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main in Burley. What? No calls? There's one. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, was it Eisenhower?
No, sir, and I thought of anybody, if you called, you'd have the answer. I'm sorry, sir, it was not. Thank you very much. Eisenhower is not the right answer. What was the name of the president that signed a bill making the first Thursday of May National Prayer Day? Hurry, come on. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Who is it, caller?
Harry S. Truman.
No. Oh, no, thank you. You're not right. I didn't think the question would be that tough. Give it some thought. Call me back. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And, nope, not Harry Truman. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
John F. Kennedy.
No. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We've been bouncing all over the place this morning. What president signed a bill making the first Thursday of May National Prayer Day? Come on, give me a call. Hurry, 436-2244. And I can tell you that those cinnamon rolls are absolutely delicious at Sophie's. So that should be more incentive for you to give me a call right now and try to come up with the right answer. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Was it Ronald Reagan?
Who is this?
Who do you think?
It's Rotten. Right?
Right.
Have you ever won before?
No.
Well, you have now. God bless you, Rotten. Thank you.
Hey, I got a question for you.
All right. What is it? Real quick.
When's your next lunch?
This week on Thursday. I said it earlier.
Well, I missed it.
All right, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dal Bradley is the winner. Ronald Reagan signed that bill in 1988. Ronald Reagan. Dal Bradley wins the cinnamon rolls, and all you have to do is call Sophie's and let them know when you're coming over there at 436-0354. Sophie's Chatterbox on the Square in Rupert. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I have just a moment, waiting for your calls on the issue of graduation and no rules, anything goes, ACLU taking over, lowering our standards all across this state, and for that matter, any state across this country, and an absolutely disgusting acceptance of new normals in a secular society. Call, please. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Don't forget Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, and Tim Vaughn, the man that you need to talk to over there at 431-7314. Now, you call that number, 431-7314, for estimates, and they've got all the vast experience in industrial development that includes dairies and feedlots, food processing, and other agricultural applications. And it's a family of companies providing construction, excavation, and fabrication services. I'm talking about Streamline Precision. Write the number down. Call them today. They're building all kinds of buildings and all the on-farm grain storage. They're an authorized dealer for Sioux Cup, Chief Balin, and Nucor buildings at Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, 431-7314. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. In a related story this morning, just to show how low we are going in this country, an Air Force general may be court-martialed. His career could be finished if a civil liberties union group wants him court-martialed. Here's the story. Major General Craig Olson has credited God for his accomplishments in the military, and, he refers to himself as a redeemed believer in Christ. And he was giving a speech, and he said he thanks God for all the abilities that God gave him. And the Military Religious Freedom Foundation has taken issues over his remarks, and they are trying to bring him up on charges to where he should be court-martialed. Ladies and gentlemen, another sick and perverted story. I'll tell you more in a minute. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
What does the word immigration mean anyway?
What are you saying, Keith?
In such a situation that we have people pouring over our borders who are uninvited, and then we have a president who's trying to send them here by the thousands. What is really immigration?
Well, you're off subject this morning, Keith. I was talking about a secular society and absolutely no rules, anything goes, and I'm going to stay on that this morning, if you don't mind, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just tuned in.
No, I'm talking about, well, you can respond to this. The ACLU going after all school districts and telling them that they can't have any rules or regulations, telling them that boys can wear dresses, girls can wear suits and tuxedos, telling them that anything goes. Keith, this whole society's falling apart.
Well, the only thing I can see is we need to defy it. In other words, mass numbers saying we're not going to take it anymore.
I agree with that.
Go from there.
No, I agree with that. And then I also was alluding just a moment ago before you called to an Air Force general by the name of Major General Craig Olson that had given a speech at the National Day of Prayer Task Force on May 7th, and he credited God for his accomplishments. And now the Military Religious Freedom Foundation is after him, trying to get him court-martialed.
It's a sick society we live in.
I couldn't agree more. Keith, thank you very much.
To have interrupted your program.
Well, no, that's all right, but I want to stay on topic this morning, and I appreciate that. God bless you, Keith. Thank you so much.
You bet.
All right. You know, you think about stories like this. An Air Force general that got up and said that God put him in charge of failing programs worth billions of dollars. And he said, I had no ability to do that. I had no training to do that. God did that. He sent me to Iraq to negotiate foreign military sales deals through an Arabic interpreter. And he said everything he has accomplished in his life, he thanks God. And now these twits with the Military Religious Freedom Foundation are after him, and they're calling for the two-star general to be court-martialed. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Zeb, I can barely hear you, but has that letter from the ACLU to the school districts been publicized?
Oh, yeah. As far as I know, it has been, yes.
Well, okay, I was thinking it should be publicized with return address.
Well, you want the ACLU's address?
Yeah.
I can give it to you. Hold on just a second. I think I have it right here. ACLU.
I'll listen over the radio.
All right, I'll give it over the air. Thank you very much. I think all of us should contact them and tell them that they're promoting an abnormal society, and we're not going to adhere to it. The ACLU of Idaho, P.O. Box 1897, Boise, 83701. Once again, ACLU of Idaho, P.O. Box 1897, Boise 83701. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, good morning, Zeb. On this dress code thing, I remember back when I was in school, they had a dress code, and if you didn't adhere to it, you went home. They sent you home.
Yeah.
And, this thing about they just letting anything go, that's a real degradation on the decency of our society.
Absolutely.
I'm fine if you're at home, you can wear your cutoffs, or you can wear your dress if you're a guy, but when you're out in the general public and attending functions such as a graduation, you ought to adhere to a standard of decent clothier, wearing your clothes.
Right.
That is acceptable for the occasion.
Well, there are no more rules. There are no enforcement of rules. There is no more moral standard. There is no more decency. Everything has been thrown on the ground and stomped on.
Well, I think that goes back to poor parenting and these absolute worms that are out here in our society that are promoting this type of activity, this inappropriate dressing for these functions.
Right.
Somebody needs to, kick their butt cheeks up between their ears.
Well, now that we've got the physicality of where they should have it, I appreciate your call this morning. God bless you, man. Thanks. All right. Hey, I've got to get a weather forecast in here, and then we'll take some more phone calls. Don't forget, our weather is brought to you this hour by Ramsey Heating and Electric, offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Ramsey Heating and Electric, saving you money with Lennox. And right now, here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers from Zeb at the Ranch. There is a saying about the weather pattern known as El Nino, and where I'm going with this, it's pretty simple, because weather people figure that if they tell you about something like El Nino, you're supposed to get it and move on with life. Well, you got lives, and now I'm getting ready to tell you that an El Nino is getting ready to kick in full blast. So what does that mean? A whole heck of a lot of rain. Yeah, you're going to be raining from the day all the way to Friday, and your temperatures are going to be on the cooler side to the point where this is the part where you're going to, you get to Wednesday and you're going to go like, is summer going to be making its way here? And let me let you in a little secret. You think you got a lot of rain up there? You ain't seen nothing until this puppy kicks in down here in Las Vegas. But I'm not talking about Las Vegas. I'm talking about Twin Falls, Idaho. So you're looking for showers today, 68 for the high, 65 for the high tomorrow, 68 for the high on Wednesday. It's just going to be rain. It's going to be yucky. So this would be a good time for you to think about things that you can do inside, because it's not going to let up until possibly Friday. But sometimes rain is a good thing, right? Right. So at Zeb at the Ranch, we have a saying. Every day is a good day. Some days are better than others. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you very much. I don't know where all that music came from in the background, but Michael Rogers Weather, we appreciate you. And, of course, brought to you by Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. And they're located at, of course, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric with Lennox, warm winters and cool summers. Give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Normalcy in our society, morals, rules and regulations, and an Air Force general being threatened with being court-martialed because he believes in God, and thank God for his accomplishments. What in the world is going on in our society? And we go to church on Sunday, and we leave the doors, and then basically we don't do anything until the following Sunday. Why? We should all be outraged as to what's going on or what's not going on, and stand up and demand that our society return to moral decency. We're being led down a path right now by these absolute lecherous people that want to change society and throw it in the gutter. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Well, I'm waiting for your call that I hope is coming in. Don't forget our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The number to call, 678-1191. That number again for an appointment with Nick Greenwell and his staff, 678-1191. They are the best with all the exercises, sports medicine, the hydrotherapy pool. I mean, they can get the job done for you. All you have to do is just stop over or give them a call at 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, helping you get back to being you. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear what you have to say about this subject. And another story this morning that I wanted to get on quick before the news at 8 o'clock. Just wanted to mention to you the Boston bomber, the Sarnoff brother, has been given the death penalty by legal and lethal injection. But this morning I was listening to a couple of the attorneys talk about this, and they said it may be as much as 18 years. 18 years before this heinous killer is put to death. 18 years with appeals and everything else on your tax dollar and mine. 18 years. At a minimum, probably of $70,000 to $80,000 a year, upkeep and maintenance for that prisoner. 18 years of appeals and maybe even longer, as he was sentenced to death for the Boston bombings, but no law, no justice, nothing is really going to take place, possibly for 18 years. Your thoughts, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I wait for your call, I want to remind you, too, about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and getting ready for summer travel. With the pre-trip safety check, and it's free. I'll tell you what, I was over at the Les Schwab Tire Centers the other day, and they are busy getting everybody ready to hit the road with the best and safest of tires, and, of course, checking all their brakes and their front ends and the shocks and struts, batteries. Make sure you're ready to rock and roll down the highway this summer by stopping into any one of the 7 Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, with Lane over in Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike in Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. They are the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All right, calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, and Al Sharpton's daughter. Clumsy little girl. She's not so little. She's a rather hefty lady, but she's just like her dad. She fell on the sidewalk of New York City. And she claims that because she fell on the sidewalk, that she is entitled to sue the city of New York for over $5 million in damages. And she's suing the citizens and taxpayers of New York City. She can't hardly walk. The pain is absolutely excruciating. Wait a minute, but wait. There's more to this story. She was filmed and photographed over in Bali on a hiking trip. And she wasn't using a cane or crutches. She wasn't in a wheelchair. Oh, my. She was hiking. And then another picture recently showed her walking around at a meeting wearing high heels. So possibly Dominique Sharpton, the 28-year-old daughter of worthless race activist Al Sharpton, is a liar and a fraud, just like her daddy, trying to bilk the city of New York out of $5 million for an injury so severe to her ankle. Isn't that nice? All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Very serious story here this morning, and it just irks me and hurts me to have to report on this. ISIS has taken back the city of Ramadi, and this is so sad, and I'll bet all of our veterans in the audience are listening to this through clenched teeth, because over 1,300 American soldiers gave their lives and their blood for that city, and now it has just literally been given back to ISIS and the terror organization. A sad day and a sad commentary for America and what our United States military gave up in lives to try to protect the citizenry and the location over in Iraq, and now it's just been taken back by these vermin terrorists. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Last story to talk about this morning is Texas biker gang. Holy smokes. They all got together in Texas, and there were 3 rival gangs, and I think it was in the Dallas area, or Waco area, pardon me. And it all started at a restaurant, kind of a restaurant, barbecue, and a nightclub. 9 bikers were killed and dozens injured. A horrific story with the Texas biker gangs down in Texas, and we'll have more on that a little bit later on this morning. Right now, we're going to get ready to go to the news from ABC, and we're going to send it over to our main studios, and then at 9:06, we've got Scott Whitlock with the Media Research Center coming on the air. 9:30, we've got Kerry Kupek coming on with Alliance Defending Freedom, and at 10:06, an old friend of ours is going to be back on the program this morning, and that's Doug Johnson from Colorado. Looking forward to that. And then at 10:32 this morning, Joel Packham with the County Extension Office in Cassia County. So lots of things coming up. We'll be back in 6. Don't go away. Oh my, here we go. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday, and welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, and of course your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And thank you very much, along with our friends at Valley Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch. And of course our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is making ahead, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Don't forget 734-6969, the number to call. Locally owned and operated, and they've got the Go Minis. Don't forget this. You can have a Go Mini container delivered right to you, loaded up at your convenience, and they'll come and get it for you. Or by golly, they'll store it for you too. Check it out. The Go Minis at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. And the number to call, 734-6969, Western Waste Services, and the number again, 734-6969, locally owned and operated and serving you. Really nice people. Hey, by the way, too, I also want to remind you about our friends at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward, the manager. Hanson Mortuary, of course, with very, very flexible hours to serve you and help you and your family. When there's the passing of a loved one, everything is thrown into turmoil. All you have to do is just get this number, put it in a very convenient place, and call. They will help. 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Heward and his staff serving you. Let's go to the phone lines right now, and I believe we have with us Scott Whitlock of the Media Research Center, the senior news analyst. Good morning, Scott. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, it's really a treat to have you back on the program. Let me ask you something. If a Republican or a conservative like Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham had donated to, let's say the George Bush Foundation or some other Republican president, whether it's Ronald Reagan, whatever, it doesn't make any difference, and didn't disclose it, I would imagine that you would agree with me that the liberal left would have roasted and toasted that individual and probably drove him right out of Dodge City. Why is the same not true with George Stephanopoulos?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. That had that scenario happened, then the Republican wouldn't have gotten away with it. But I think it's also true that you and I both know that a Republican-leaning operative would not have been in the situation as a journalist where that would have happened simply because they don't hire those types of people. They're not going to hire some Sean Hannity or something like that to do a straight news show, a Good Morning America, something like that. But they will hire, with no compunction or problem, a George Stephanopoulos, despite all his ties to the Clintons.
How serious is this, in your opinion? You're the expert on this, Scott, as far as originally it was thought that he gave $50,000 to the Clinton Foundation, but now I've heard reports over the weekend that the number probably is $25,000 short. $75,000 is more like it. How serious really is this allegation?
It's very serious, and I think that ABC knows it's serious. They have said that George Stephanopoulos won't be moderating any debate, and that's good, but it's not enough because, well, okay, what about the 2016 coverage? That's going to be dominating the news, the political news, for the next year and a half. And so George Stephanopoulos has said that he's going to continue to cover that. He's going to continue to cover the 2016 campaign, despite his very close connections to the Clintons. And that's a problem. That's a serious problem, and conservatives should continue to be calling ABC out on this. And you've also seen Republican presidential candidates really be aggressive and say that they're either not going to go on his show, he also co-hosts This Week on Sunday, or just saying, raising this as a problem and saying, you know, people need to know about this and they need to know about his conflicts of interest.
Let me ask you this question, and again, Scott, because of your staying right on top of this subject, is this scandal, one of many scandals for the Clinton Foundation and the Clinton family, is this enough that it might have kind of a cancerous approach to the possible nomination of Hillary? Is this enough to bring her down and cancel any hopes of possibly becoming president?
I don't know if it's enough because, honestly, we've seen so many scandals with the Clintons. One scandal kind of, rolls off to the next one. I mean, we had the email scandal, and then we have the scandal with the Clinton Foundation, and it's sort of the media kind of stopped talking about the email scandal and Servergate because we had a new scandal. So I guess that's sort of one way to get a scandal off of what everyone is talking about. But it's hard to say. I will say that if you keep seeing these scandals bubble up, you may see the Democratic establishment look more seriously at a Martin O'Malley, someone like that, as an alternative. But we're just going to have to see, because with the Clintons, having covered them, from a media perspective, we just see that there's kind of one after another, and what we constantly see from journalists is an attempt to kind of to downplay it. So we're going to have to see if that'll change or not.
I want to ask you a couple of questions about Peter Schweitzer. What are your thoughts about Peter Schweitzer and his book called Clinton Cash, and some of the alleging that goes on in the book about donations, etc.? I personally have not had the opportunity to read the book, study the book, but what are your thoughts about some of his thoughts and allegations against the Clintons and their foundation in that book?
Well, I will say that I also have not got a chance to read the book yet. I do look forward to reading it shortly. But I think you've kind of got a mixed bag with Schweitzer, where on the one hand, we have seen that he is getting on some of the Sunday shows, and he's getting some coverage, and getting reviewed in some of the liberal newspapers, and so that's progress in a sense that at least they are taking him seriously and giving his investigation some coverage. But you've also seen a lot of kind of dismissive coverage of him as some sort of right-wing hack. And so I think certainly with Stephanopoulos, you have extreme conflicts of interest, but it's not just Stephanopoulos. You could look at some of the coverage on NBC. He was on the Today Show, and they immediately, Savannah Guthrie interviewed him. She immediately jumped out and kind of said, well, aren't you just trying to take down the Clintons? Aren't you just a partisan? And so on. And so even though so far we don't have other conflicts of interest with some of the journalists who have been interviewing him, there's definitely a similar tone in that they have a very skeptical analysis. They want to know his partisan background, and is he just trying to destroy the Clintons, which are if you apply those principles in general to all people, left and right, who are writing political books, that would be fine. But they don't apply that kind of skepticism to the left.
Let me ask you this question. The Republicans and the candidates so far that have thrown their hats in the ring, be it Scott Walker, be it Ted Cruz, whomever, are they missing an opportunity to really pursue a frontal attack on the Clinton Foundation and the Clintons themselves by not bringing this up more often in the news media? If she's not going to answer any questions, she being Hillary Clinton, are the Cruzes and the rest of the Republicans kind of missing an opportunity to bring the questions up themselves about financing, about maybe allegations about the foundation, and trying to stir the media to look into this more than what they have been?
Well, I think you've seen a kind of a mixture. Some have, some haven't. You have Rand Paul and Ted Cruz kind of going after the Clinton-Stephanopoulos connection. I think you're right that they are going to have to be more aggressive in talking about this issue themselves, because we've seen that it's not often in presidential elections, it's not just Democrat versus Republican. It's Republican versus Democrat with an assist from the media. So if they don't kind of bring these things up themselves, they're not just going to, they're likely not going to get talked about. And so if you want to make this clear to voters, in many ways the Republican candidates will probably have to bring it up themselves.
You know, let me ask you a question about the Hillary situation in general. Nobody else seems to be groomed. Nobody else on the left seems to be stepping up and saying, well, we'll give her competition. Why? Why would the left look at her now with no experience, look at her now as a person that can lead this country, and why would they put all their eggs in that basket when she is absolutely enshrouded with scandal from head to foot? I just don't understand this. Help clarify that for me.
It's a good question, and I can't say that I fully understand it myself. I think part of it is you have the historic nature of the candidacy, and that's obviously something that a lot of liberals, both in and out of the media, get very excited about. She would be the first female president. And so I think you have a lot of liberal journalists who are excited by that. And so they're kind of suppressing interest in covering scandals or looking into some of her potential problems because of how historic she is. And you're right, there has been the Democratic base is not, there's no one else really getting in other than Bernie Sanders. It looks like Martin O'Malley is going to get in, so he would be sort of this first potentially serious contender, since she doesn't really have one. So I would say I think it's the historic nature, and also there's just been a long-standing affection by liberals in the media for the Clintons, and they seem to be transferring a lot of that from Bill Clinton to Hillary.
What do you expect, Scott, to see in the next couple of months in this presidential race? I mean, we're going to see probably many more Republicans throw their hat in the ring, maybe even Donald Trump. And I got to say this. You live back in that area, and you hear all the gossip and the rumors on the street, etc. You know, Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, he's very blunt. He tells things like they are. He comes up ahead and says how he would treat a certain situation. Is there any credibility at all that this man could run and or possibly be a strong candidate?
I think certainly he's got a tone, like you said, as a straight shooter. So I think that he's definitely going to get some attention, and I think that there will be an appeal for people who see him as someone perhaps bringing up issues that the liberal media won't do. So I don't think he would get the nomination, but I think that he's definitely going to bring up a lot of things that the media aren't covering, and probably force other candidates to talk about them as well.
All right, last question, and again, because of your knowledge on these subjects, in the background, the Oval Office, with Barack Obama sitting in the Oval Office, all the press, all the coverage, all the news media really standing around and falling all over and fawning all over Hillary Clinton. What about him? Is he going to lend any support, or is he going to politely fade into the background?
I think that's definitely going to be a wait and see thing, where we're going to where they'll probably look at how his polling is and whether or not he can be an advantage. I think it could be complicated. You have to look back at how George Bush sort of complicated John McCain's run, and the interesting thing from a media perspective will be to see how will they cover that. If there's either economic issues or his polling isn't so great, the media definitely played up George W. Bush as a problem for John McCain. So are they going to be fair and turn around and portray Barack Obama as a problem for Hillary Clinton? We'll have to see, but I can't say that I'm optimistic that they would do that.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you very much to the senior news analyst of the Media Research Center, Scott Whitlock. Scott, you're always welcome on this program. Thank you so much this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me on. Remember, you can find us at newsbusters.org.
All right. God bless. Thank you very, very much. Very interesting analogy as to what's going on with Hillary Clinton and the funding to the foundation from George Stephanopoulos. You know, to sit there, as he did the other day on the news, Stephanopoulos at ABC News, and just literally drag author Peter Schweitzer through the mud about his book, Clinton Cash. And then, after it's all over, we found out in full disclosure that Stephanopoulos had given over $75,000 to the Clinton Foundation, all of that being withheld as almost secretive information, and now it's out, and finding out how totally ridiculous the situation is for the liberal left to be pointing fingers at an author like Schweitzer, when in turn Stephanopoulos up to his neck with possible shaded backgrounds of giving to the Clinton Foundation. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Every morning on the program when we start, we're very, very blessed. We start with our friends at Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Really, really nice people. And, of course, they're located at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. All your carpet and flooring and kitchen construction, home decor needs, whatever you need to make your house a home. Right there at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, and they bring you Michael Rogers Weather at 8:06 every day. We're on this program, and of course, again, remember the number to call them at 678-6945. Look for the blue door at Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give us a jingle. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, don't forget our friends at Streamline Precision. They're located at 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods. And again, our thanks go to Tim Vaughn being so helpful with us. And the number to call for estimates, 431-7314. That number again, 431-7314. Streamline Precision. As I said earlier last hour, they're a company of construction, excavation, and fabrication services. And they've also got the great big heavy equipment to get the job done, hauling all your dirt hauling needs. They've got the big side dump trucks, and they've also got the great big heavy rigs to haul all your farm equipment from field A to field B. They can help you. Just call them, and they'll give you all the pricing information you need. 431-7314. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods. You call them today, okay? All right, give us a call, 436-2244. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. All this problem we're having over in Ramadi, that falls right on Barack Obama's shoulders for pulling our troops out of there. Where is this guy getting his military strategy from? Al Sharpton?
You know, it's funny the way you said it, but it's not funny the way it's happening. This situation over there in Ramadi with over 1,300 American lives that were lost initially in the taking of Ramadi, and then to just give it back to the bad guys. This whole situation in the Middle East is starting to crumble. We're looking at the Saudis. We're looking at others start to scramble and try to find nuclear weapons. And Tony, this morning, and I mean this when I say this morning more than any other morning that I've been on this program in 15 years, I am very, very concerned as to the status and safety of the United States and its citizenry. I think we are in deep trouble right now.
You know, the Iraqi troops there are dropping their weapons that we gave them and running. Why do we have to go in there and fight somebody else's war?
Well, you can ask that question about a lot of the wars that we've been involved in all through history, and I think in fairness you have to say, well, why did we go here? Why did we go there? I can't answer that question because I wasn't in the Oval Office and I wasn't one of the powers that be. But I can tell you one thing right now, I absolutely am livid to think that our soldiers and our military gave everything they had for the freeing, if you will, of those people and of that area, and then to turn it over to the vermin ISIS and let them have it. This is a black day in American history, Tony.
Well, if we had a president up there that was worth the darn, they would have turned this thing over to our military and let these guys that know all about what to do in wars. We wouldn't be in this trouble we're in today.
I agree. Tony, it's always good to hear from you again, my friend. God bless. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Don't forget the Relay for Life, and you're going to hear a lot more on this program about the Relay for Life. The Minnecasia Relay for Life is going to be held at the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo Grounds on June 19th and 20th at 6 p.m. And for more information, you can call 260-0436. Cancer on any given day, nearly 3,000 people will find knowledge, resources, and comfort and compassion from a trained cancer information specialist. And all of the funds garnered by Relay for Life help fight that dreaded disease and that 6-letter word, cancer. Please be a part of it. Find out more. Call that number 260-0436, Minnecasia Relay for Life at the Cassia County Fairgrounds on June 19th and 20th, starting at 6 p.m. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And while I have just a minute here before we get our next guest on the program this morning, I do want to remind you about our friends over at Let's Ride. Oh, boy, where the fun is sold. Absolutely wonderful people serving you at Let's Ride. They've got all the four-wheelers over there. Everything you can think of is right there at Let's Ride. You open the door door and walk on in, and you are going to be impressed. All the four-wheelers, all the accessories, great people to help you, and they've got a service department that's second to none. All the watercraft. Now is the time to get a brand new watercraft, too. Great selection over there. This is at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn, and I've said this for a long, long time. This is where the fun is sold at Let's Ride. Highway 24, waiting to serve you. Thank you. Also, while you're over in that neck of the woods, don't forget our friends Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Dean Cameron, Todd Siemens, very dedicated and responsive to your needs, and they can handle all your life insurance, all your health insurance, all your retirement planning, all your employee benefits. All you have to do is just give them a call and make an appointment today at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, waiting right now this minute to serve you. Give them a call. Public service announcement for this morning. On Saturday, May 30th, the Minidoka County Sheriff's Office will be having a responsible rider course for ATV users. Now, this goes in conjunction with what we were talking about a minute ago with Let's Ride. This is going to be from 9 in the morning until 12 noon on the 30th, Saturday, May 30th, and you need to have pre-registration required, and you can register online by going to www.parksandrecreation.idaho.gov, and Chief Deputy Dave Pinther is available to take calls for questions at 434-2320 or Corporal Richard Coyle at 431-4379. That's coming up on May 30th, Minidoka County Sheriff's Office Responsible Rider Course for ATV users. Okay? It's time now to go to our next guest, and we're very, very blessed to have this lovely lady on our program. Carrie Kupek, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well, Zeb. How about yourself?
Well, I'll tell you what we're looking for, and we need it, and I shouldn't complain, but we're looking for another solid week of rain. And where are you, and what is the weather in your location?
I'm in Washington, D.C. today, and it is very humid and overcast and just not very pleasant.
I've got to ask you, when it comes to like June, July, and especially August, and I've been back there in August, how in the world do you people take that humidity and those warm temperatures?
I don't know. It's pretty gross. It's a little rough, I can tell you that.
Well, now, this morning, Carrie, thank you so much for being on the program. And every week, it seems like we hear more horrendous stories about what's happening with a lack of respect for life, not only here in the United States, but around the world. A story that you sent me this morning regarding Hungary. Tell me about the black market of aborted babies. This is a horrendous story. Explain it to us.
It really is. So in Hungary, there was a clinic that specialized in plastic surgery. And what the people there were doing, the employees, they were actually harvesting on the black market embryonic tissue and cells from aborted babies. And they were injecting the patients with those cells and tissues for $25,000 per treatment. And in July 2009, the police arrested these people for doing so. And the procedure was obviously not approved by medical authorities or the Ethics Committee of Hungary's Scientific Advisory Board. And the court just ruled and said, yeah, this is a big problem. And they found them guilty of this crime of illegally harvesting these stem cells. And what's interesting is that Alliance Defending Freedom had filed a friend of the court brief in March of 2013, and this is ADF International, and actually what was really encouraging to us is that the court made use of the arguments that we put out in this brief as a way of ruling against these people who had been engaged in this horrific black market procedure.
Oh, my goodness. Now, what would have happened had this not been found out? What was the potentiality of selling these embryonic stem cells? What would have happened?
Oh, it opens an incredible Pandora's box of unbelievable abuse of it gives motivation, right, to abort babies. Really, if you can make $25,000 a pop off of the aborted tissue and cells. And the court rendered judgments ranging from large fines to prison sentences, depending on what the person's involvement was in the crime. But I want to point out to you a couple of the arguments that we made in our friend of the court brief that the court in Hungary ended up adopting, because it's interesting, and it gives you a little bit of a picture of what's going on in Europe with respect to the life issue, and quite actually, in some ways, encouraging as to where it's going. So two things. Last year, a couple of years ago, an international court in Europe was the first to ever directly define when life began, and that was, they said, at conception. And that was the Court of Justice of the European Union, and they clearly defined that life begins at conception. Now, they were talking in terms of patents, so that was the context, and they were discussing issues of scientific research and general health, but they did that. Number two, Hungary, in their constitution, they actually have also defined life at conception, and in their constitution they say human dignity. They say it's essential, and every human being shall have the right to life and human dignity. Embryonic and fetal life shall be subject to protection from the moment of conception. So you have this court that said this, then you have the Hungary Constitution that said this, and so this was. Looking at those two aspects, you would think this is a slam dunk sort of case. And so this is great news that they have stopped this horrific procedure. But also, it's interesting to see it paints an interesting outlook for the landscape of life in Europe.
I'm sitting here and I listen to you and others every week on this program with the Alliance Defending Freedom. And I got to tell you something, Carrie, that as of this morning, with some of the sleaze and some of the filth that's going on around our nation, you become disheartened and you become a little jaded, wondering if there's any hope left. I mean, a story, for instance, and I know this is off track a little bit, but this morning I learned about an Air Force Major General, Craig Olson, that certain groups are trying to go after him to be court-martialed because he mentioned about his praying to God. And there doesn't seem to be any respect for life anymore. And when you've got groups like the ACLU and Planned Parenthood, sometimes I just throw my hands up in the air and I say, where are the decent people in this world standing up for what is right and moral? Where are they?
I agree, and this Hungary situation was it was so disturbing, right? A civilized society does not reduce innocent lives of children to commodities in elective cosmetic procedures, and that's pretty disgusting to harvest the cells and tissue of aborted babies, make so much profit off it just so that people can, essentially inject it into their face or their bodies to look better. It's repulsive. You're absolutely right. And that's why I'm also, though, that being said, to switch gears a bit, that's why it's encouraging to see that the House of the United States government last week passed the 20-week pain-capable bill. Yeah. And that is a bill that says, look, science shows that babies in the womb can feel pain at 20 weeks. We have got to stop these late-term abortions. This should not be a legal procedure. This is really, it's gruesome. It's not something that a civilized society engages in. So the House passed that last week, so now it goes on to the Senate. Now, the Senate, I think, probably will pass it. Now, the question will become, will President Obama do the same? Hillary Clinton made a statement already against this bill. Quite frankly, I don't know how any human being in good conscience could come against this bill. We are one of only 7 countries in the world that allows late-term abortion at this. We are on the same list as North Korea and China with respect to this kind of late-term elective abortion. We're one of the most permissive abortion countries in the entire world. And not only can babies, has it been proven that they can feel pain at 20 weeks inside the womb. That's 5 months. 5 months along is a pretty long time. That it's been shown that when babies are born during that time, they can actually live. They're viable, obviously with assistance with medical help.
Yeah, but...
I suspect the Senate will pass it, but for anyone to come out against this bill, I quite honestly don't know how they can do it in good conscience.
I want to elaborate on that a little bit because both of these individuals, Hillary Clinton and especially Barack Obama, and please correct me if I say this wrong, but I think I'm right because I had the nurse in a Chicago hospital that was involved in the partial birth abortion scandal back in Chicago, Illinois. She did not want to wheel those babies into a closet and let them die on their own. But Barack Obama, when he was a senator, advocated partial birth abortion. What kind of leadership have we got? And now Hillary Clinton, I'm sitting here just absolutely amazed that the American public would even consider her smallly or even remotely to be the president of the United States.
I agree. And you know what I think? Quite frankly, I think that both President Obama and Hillary Clinton should be forced to stand in a room as a partial birth abortion procedure is done.
Yes.
If they're going to advocate for it, then let them put their money where their mouth is and let them watch the procedure. And then let them come out and say this is a good thing. Let them say this is a good thing for that child and let them say this is a good thing for the mother. Because I guarantee the second they watch that, they will be changed. Now, and if they don't, then, our fears are even that much more realized. But it is really... it's just a horrific procedure, and the fact that we would still allow late-term abortions in the way that we do, like I said, along with countries like North Korea and China, we do not want to be on a list with those two for anything in this realm. And so it's horrifying. And then what's interesting is that the House passed this bill on the 2-year anniversary of the conviction of Kermit Gosnell's conviction. And if you remember him, he was that abortionist up in Philadelphia who had that horrific, I don't even want to call it practice, chamber of horrors is how they call it, where there's evidence, that baby after baby was born during botched abortion, and he literally just snipped their spinal cord and snipped parts of their brain and left them to die. There's evidence that these babies were crying. I mean, it's so inhumane that it's hard to wrap my mind around that we as the United States of America, who cherish life and liberty, and the reason we were founded, would actually, there would be people here and politicians that would say this is okay, this is a good thing. It's sick.
Well, Carrie, I don't even know how to phrase this because I know some people are just very squeamish about this, but I'm going to be blunt. Is this a possible tactic, and I hate to use that word, against the deviates in our society, and I'm going to call her a deviant, and that's Hillary Clinton for her stand on this, and I'm going to call him a deviant in our society, Barack Obama, for advocating the killing of babies and the killing of unborn like this. I mean, is this something that we can use, hopefully, to an advantage to get them defeated so we don't have that kind of a politician ever sit in the Oval Office?
Yes, I think so, because every single potential GOP Republican candidate right now has come out in support of this bill, and it's supporting life, supporting the fact that, babies who are at the 5-month mark in their mother's womb should be protected and not be forced to undergo an inhumane procedure that, if that baby was literally living outside that womb, would be considered murder in the States. And so the fact that Hillary Clinton would come out and say this, I think that you're right. As far as a method of strategy, I think that she should continue to get asked. I think she should be presented with what that looks like, with the pain aspect, and I think she should get hammered for it, for sure. We as a society should value life. We should be protecting the most innocent among us. If we don't do that as a society, what does that say about us?
How can we possibly?
It says something very disturbing.
How can we possibly, as American citizens, and I am very upset about this morning, how can we sit there and criticize others around the world for human rights and human indignities when we're doing something as heinous as this? I mean, I'm sitting here just absolutely wondering how in the world we can play the Lone Ranger behind a mask when we're doing this kind of atrocity right here in our own country.
I totally agree, and I think what would be interesting is if, we use this pain-capable bill as, say, a litmus test, and we present it to people and say, they say, oh, no, this should be left between a woman and her doctor, et cetera. That's usually what is said. Well, then what I would say then is, okay, it's been shown, and it happens that, babies sometimes are born at that point, are born at that 5-month mark, and they survive. Obviously with medical assistance, it would be a neonatal care kind of deal. So my next question would be, okay, well, what happens to those babies then? 2 seconds ago you said they shouldn't be protected. Well, now they're born. They're the same age that they were, a couple of minutes ago. Are you advocating they should be killed now? How is someone supposed to answer that? But I think these are the kinds of questions that need to be asked to politicians, that need to be asked to the people who are making decisions, and I think need to be just asked and a matter of conversation in our everyday lives as concerned citizens.
The medical profession, Carrie, and I don't mean to step into a wider tangent here, but I think it needs to be mentioned. The medical profession, with, of course, the Hippocratic Oath and the saving of lives and doing everything possible, it's totally ambiguous and ridiculous to think that they'd even allow such a practice in a hospital.
Yeah, absolutely. They take an oath to uphold life, to protect life. And again, we as a society, if you look at a nation, if you look at a culture, and they are not taking measures to protect the most innocent and vulnerable among them, that sends a very scary message about what that society is really about.
Oh.
And the fact that the United States is one of the most permissive abortion country in the world, with being on the same list as North Korea and China, is horrifying. And it's something that I think that the newer generation, which is encouraging, is actually really coming around to, and especially with the advancing of technology and the sonograms, and you look at these pictures and these 3D sonograms, there is no mistaking that you are looking at the face of a baby, at the face of a human being. And to be able to look at that picture and still say, nah, that's just a decision of the mom because, depending on what she wants to do. It's terrible. It really is. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this pain-capable bill and what President Obama will do with it.
One final thought here, Carrie, before I let you go. Stories like these should make us even the more aware about the funding of our tax dollars going to Planned Parenthood. And I'm surprised more people are not absolutely outraged that they get millions and millions of taxpayer dollars, literally, and I'm going to say this as the bottom line, to take human life.
They do, and that's why it is so important for people to fight the funding of Planned Parenthood for exactly what you just said. The fact that taxpayers, people who are pro-life, people who want to protect the most innocent and vulnerable among us, are being forced to hand over their dollars to the federal government, who in turn is turning around and funneling it to a big abortion machine, which is what Planned Parenthood is sickening, and it really is. It's something that we should continue to make concentrated efforts to fight against.
One last thought, Carrie, real quick. Are we, in your opinion, and you work with this every day, you work with the various lawyers, etc., are we so far to the left on this issue that our boot heels are kind of like on the cliff and we're going to get pushed over? Is there hope that we can turn things back around?
I think there is hope. I think that the fact that the House, passed this pain-capable bill last week, that the Senate is likely to do so as well, that shows that there's hope. These sonograms, the more science advances, the more that we can see the development of a baby inside the womb, it makes it really impossible to argue with what you're actually doing when you have an abortion. And so these are the things that are positive. The March for Life, which is that annual march in Washington, D.C., where people come to advocate for life. You have over 500,000 people, and most of them young. You have a diverse young crowd, on the steps of the Supreme Court, on the steps of the Capitol, on the mall. And these are people saying, no, we want to protect life. We're Americans, and this is what we want to do. So I'm interested to see, even in 10 years from now, I'm hopeful that we will continue to see advances made to take back the protection of life.
Absolutely. Carrie, a very, very good conversation this morning. Legal Communications Director with the Alliance Defending Freedom, Carrie Kupek. Carrie, please tell my audience how they can follow these stories with the ADF.
they can go to AllianceDefendingFreedom.org, and if they want to look at the briefs and look at some of the more in-depth legal analysis, they can go to ADFmedia.org.
You know, my wife and I certainly appreciate everything you do, Carrie. God bless you, and we'll see you next week. Thank you again so much.
We appreciate you, too. Thanks so much, Dad.
All right, take care. Boy, I'll tell you what, I just can't believe, with all the stories that we hear on a daily basis on this program, nobody seems to care about life anymore. Nobody seems to care about the respect for life anymore. The ACLU making edicts to our Idaho school system saying, well, boys can wear a dress and girls can wear a tuxedo. You can't have anything as far as telling them what they can wear or not. A general in the Air Force, the United States Air Force, being threatened now by the Military Religious Freedom Foundation that this two-star general might be court-martialed. They might force a court-martial because he thanked God for all the blessings in his life. You know, folks, come on. What are your thoughts on this? We've got to clean this mess up, and I'm beginning to wonder if we've got a dustpan and a broom big enough. There are a bunch of sleaze and filth and vermin in our society, and I'm not trying to preach to you every day about this, but it's got to be brought out. We've got to do something to clean up again our society. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I hope is coming in, I also want to remind you about our friends at Mad River Laser. Right on the square in Rupert at 502 East Street in Rupert. And, you know, when people go to a parade like on the 4th of July and everything, you know, your businesses maybe going to float in the parade, and you throw out various things, you know, little promotional announcements. Well, where do you think they are made? They're made with the professionals at Mad River Laser. They've got all your business needs as far as promotional items. All you have to do is just get over there or give her a call. The number, 436-2293. That number again, 436-2293. Mad River Laser. Nicole and Alex, the whole crew, serving you with all your needs, whether it's jackets, shirts, caps, all the promotional announcements, the pens, etc. At Mad River Laser. You get a hold of them today. And right now, here is Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers from Zebba the Ranch. There is a saying about the weather pattern known as El Nino, and where I'm going with this, it's pretty simple, because weather people figure that if they tell you about something like El Nino, you're supposed to get it and move on with life. Well, you got lives, and now I'm getting ready to tell you that an El Nino is getting ready to kick in full blast. So what does that mean? A whole heck of a lot of rain. Yeah, you're going to be raining from the day all the way to Friday, and your temperatures are going to be on the cooler side to the point where this is the part where you're going to, you get to Wednesday and you're going to go like, you know, is summer going to be making its way here? And let me let you in a little secret. You think you got a lot of rain up there? You ain't seen nothing until this puppy kicks in down here in Las Vegas. But I'm not talking about Las Vegas. I'm talking about Twin Falls, Idaho. So you're looking for showers today, 68 for the high, 65 for the high tomorrow, 68 for the high on Wednesday. It's just going to be rain. It's going to be yucky. So this would be a good time for you to think about things that you can do inside, because it's not going to let up until possibly Friday. But sometimes rain is a good thing, right? Right. So at Zebba the Ranch, we have a saying. Every day is a good day. Some days are better than others. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
All right, Michael. Thank you very much. MichaelRogersWeather.com, brought to you by Mad River Laser. And they're located at 502 East Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-2293. Give us a call, 436-2244, and we'd love to hear from you before the hour's up. Give us a jingle. And while we're waiting for your call, I also want to remind you about Lennox Home Comfort Systems through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, offering rebates on qualified Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, your family will enjoy the comfort. Through Ramsey Heating and Electric, they can save you money in Lennox. You better believe it. Warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Thank you very much. All right, it's your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And we'll share any idea or thought that you want for the remainder of this hour. Please give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. And one other good word while I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in. Don't forget Duck Uglies. Oh, my, what a great place to go eat. What a great place to listen to some fantastic entertainment. It is ripping good fun at Duck Uglies, 163 Highway 30 in Burley. Jack Bates, the brand new owner and manager, and I'll tell you what, they're serving breakfast now, Monday through Friday from 6 to 11, and great food every day, and on the weekends on Saturday, they're going to have smoked barbecue ribs, starting at 6 p.m., and music like you can't believe. Dee Yeaman and Barton and Bowler and Ned Carter, just to name a couple of them. Oh, my goodness, you got to stop in. You will absolutely love Duck Uglies. 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let's see, did I have any other public service announcement? Oh, yeah, tomorrow. Interesting. We're going to be having on tomorrow morning's program at 10:30, we're going to have a lot of information about the 40th Annual Idaho Regatta, and we're going to be talking about that for about 30 minutes with Christy Dilworth, and we're looking forward to that. Lots of fun going on for the Idaho Regatta for 2015, and that's going to be on June 26, 27, and 28. So we'll be talking to Christy tomorrow morning. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle on the landline. Also, this morning, I had another little news story I wanted to put on here this morning. Let's see. Mike Simpson. Now, I absolutely have been going after Mike on various subjects, but I want to say that when kudos are necessary, I will pass them along. Congressman Mike Simpson supported the National Defense Authorization Act that had sage grouse language in it, and the NDAA would prevent the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service from listing the bird for 10 years. 10 years. Instead of kind of come in and snowball over us this next year, it would prevent the listing of the bird for 10 years, giving adequate time for effective state management plans to be developed and put in place. Now, the bill that Mike was a part of passed 269 to 151, and I absolutely on this program, if I don't agree with somebody, I'm going to tell them I don't agree with them. If I don't like somebody for what they have done on a certain issue, I will tell them that. But in this case, I will give Congressman Mike Simpson kudos for helping to pass that bill so that the sage grouse will have at least 10 years, adequate time to get management plans and available, and not just come in and totally disrupt agriculture and also our economy in the state of Idaho and, quite frankly, across the West. So congratulations on that bill. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Also, I want to mention to you about, real quick, on Thursdays, we have school days in Cassia County, and it's sponsored by the Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World. And don't forget, the Ambulatory Surgery Center continues to be the place for life-saving colonoscopies and also hand and knee surgeries and ear tube surgeries, etc. Patients always receive friendly professional care, and you can save hundreds of dollars at the Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland in Burley. Number to call, 677-8888. And also our thanks to A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. And boy, most babies are born in August. And so right now, they're having their 14th annual Everything for Babies and Toddlers sale in May. And you can go on in there and check out anything and everything for the babies. 20% off on hundreds of summer dresses, too, and play outfits, $15 and up to size 7. Always free gift wrapping at A Child's World. 1308 Overland in Burley, along with the Ambulatory Surgery Center, bringing you school days in Cassia County. Next hour, we've got Doug Johnson from Colorado coming on the program. Doug, always very interesting when it comes to all the political happenings of the day. And then at 10:30, we're going to be talking to Joel Packham with the University of Idaho Extension Service. Don't go away. I'll be back in 6. Here now, the news from CBS. Oh, my. Welcome back, Zeb at the Ranch, and good to have you with us on this Monday morning. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, we also want to acknowledge some of our great advertisers, and they are Valley White Home and Ranch at 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch. And our thank yous also to Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service, get your garbage picked up. It's gone. It's out of there. Call them at 734-6969, Western Waste Services. Before we get our guest on the program for this hour, I also want to acknowledge the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Oh, my. Today, the special, going to be absolutely delicious. Pulled pork pitas with Hawaiian slaw, served with choice of side and super salad. Pulled pork pitas. Love that at the Chadwick Sports Grill. Always great food, always great service, and always very, very delicious. At the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley, you stop in and see those great folks today. Sounds good to me. Let's go to the phone line right now, and I have a chance to say welcome back. Remember the old TV show from about 20, 30 years ago, Welcome Back, Cotter? Well, I get a chance to say welcome back, Johnson, Doug Johnson. How are you, my dear friend?
Oh, thanks, Zeb. It's good to be back. I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic, and I'm so glad to hear you. Bring us an update as to what you've been doing and how you are.
Well, not much different. My life's fairly boring, just working hard, trying to run my business, and so that's what's going on. I guess the only real news from this part of the world is we're getting quite a bit of monsoonal moisture the last few weeks, and we've got more moisture right now than we've had it probably at least in 6 or 7 years.
Oh, my.
It was to the point where we had all the ponds had dried up, most everything dried up, and we're starting to see those refill now and actually get some moisture. Our fire risk here in the forest I live in has dropped down to moderate from extreme. This is the first time in like I say, 7 years. So that's kind of nice. We're kind of enjoying that.
Doug, there are so many things that have been going on since I talked to you last. Excuse me for choking. And we've seen the world situation start to deteriorate and crumble even more. A lack of leadership, a lack of respect, the mess with Hillary Clinton, the mess with what's going on with ISIS, the mess with our morality here at home. I really am anxious to hear your thoughts as to, basically in general, where we are since we last talked about 4 months ago.
Well, I think one of the comments you made sums it all up, and that's our morality. America's morality is gone. Now, your listeners may be moral people, but overall Americans do not have morality. We are a very immoral nation. We allow things that we shouldn't allow. We allow, and not just politically, just throughout our society. And that is the death knell for America. I believe, Zeb, that, and I don't like to say it, but I believe we have gone over the cliff. I believe God has taken his hand of blessing off this nation. And the only hope is really what Anne Graham Lotz, Billy Graham's daughter, said recently when she said that we are facing judgment very soon. It's going to be very bad unless we turn to God in prayer. And she is right now in the middle of I think it's a 9-day program of prayer asking Americans to pray for America because we are really, really at death's doorstep as a nation. And so, that's putting it very bluntly, but that's really where we're at. And This isn't about Barack Obama. It's not about Hillary Clinton. It's about our whole society. It goes so far beyond the presidency, it's ridiculous. It goes down to the way we raise our children, what we allow, the morality we allow. When you see the kind of things that go on, and I know you and I have very similar views on these things, there's only so long a society can stand that before it collapses. And we've seen it throughout history, and now America is at that point, and the American people have to make a decision. They have to decide, what do we value? And my fear is that not enough are going to value what's right.
You know, I think you said that very succinctly and very poignantly, but I guess my question back to you would be, where are the people? Where are the people standing up against abortion? Where are the people standing up for the respect for life? Where are the people standing up for Christians? Where are the people standing up for our Constitution? We've got so much going on right now, whether it's ISIS and the infiltration of this country, whether it has to do with the economic situation, whether it has to do with the welfare and people taking advantage of our welfare system with food stamps, etc. Everywhere you turn around, people couldn't care less about morality and about what's good. They're more or less interested in what they can do to get something for themselves. What happened to all the good people standing up, Doug?
Well, you actually ask a bunch of questions, but in a nutshell, where the people are is how you concluded your question is they are more focused on themselves.
Yeah.
They don't really care what goes on around them. They want what's right for them. I have a good friend who's a radio host like you are. He's down in Texas. And he makes one terrible error in Texas. He believes that, Texas will never fall and whatever. And I keep telling him, Texas is in more trouble than you realize. But what's interesting is he made a statement the other day, and I think this is indicative of what's going on around our country. He said, well, to show you how good Texas is, 300,000 Californians moved to Texas last year. Now, I have not talked to him since I heard him say that. I actually heard it on his show one day when I was listening to it. And I'm looking forward to talking to him because in Colorado, that's what happened. A lot of people moved in from blue states and turned Colorado blue. And this is exactly what's going on in other places. We're seeing these things. The recent story you and I had some interaction via email about, in your own backyard, with your own school system is being attacked by the ACLU about dress codes being unconstitutional if they're different for males and females. This is the kind of nonsense and ridiculous stuff that's going on, and this is why I was on a show earlier this morning. The host said to me, did you know over 300 people, Zeb, have filed to run for president in 2016? And I said to him, I understand America is a land of opportunity, and we all can have the right to do that. Of course, only a few people with the really big money really have a chance. So of those 300, maybe 1% will really have a chance at the White House. But the bigger issue, I told him, I said, is instead of looking at the thing and saying, I can fix the whole country, fix your local stuff.
Yeah.
Go and run for your school board. Run for the county council or the city council.
Yes.
You can run for state offices. You can run for all different levels. We have trouble on all levels in America. We need to be involved on all levels, not just look at the presidency and say, our president is a monarch who can fix things. But people on both sides of the aisle think the president is what makes the difference. And because our society is broken and our government is broken, that is, unfortunately, it's not true, but worse than that, we're allowing whoever's in the presidency to control our country, and we shouldn't be doing that.
You know, Doug, you mentioned just a little bit ago about the ACLU coming after the state of Idaho with all the school districts, etc. And this is a story that absolutely has sickened me because we're allowing the abnormal and the perverted to take over our society. I know the people in Cassia County in the school system very well. They are all friends of mine. They are all very decent people. And to be told by the ACLU that graduation could turn into a freak show because now girls can wear tuxedos and boys can wear dresses, and the ACLU saying they're monitoring them, ready to jump down on them like a crow to a mouse in a field. I mean, this is disgusting what's going on.
Well, it is, and we have abandoned everything this country was founded on. We have abandoned, we're not a nation of laws. We've become a nation ruled by actually by the majority. And people may not think that. They say, well, most people don't feel this way. But what people allow to happen becomes what happens. And we are not a democracy. This is where people make a mistake. We are a republic. A republic is controlled by its laws, not by the people who are trying to push things one way or the other at their whim. But when we become a democracy, this is where we've headed. That's the sign. The next step is oligarchy and failure of the entire system. And we need to go back to looking at our Constitution and saying, we look to our laws as what rules things. And so when people come along like the ACLU with your school system doing what they're doing, or another story, and I don't know, but knowing you, I would bet you've talked about this. You probably heard about the Air Force general who's being threatened right now because he
Absolutely.
had the nerve to talk about his faith.
Absolutely.
And this kind of stuff needs to end. This is not what America is about, but we have abandoned supporting our own laws, and so we now are in this situation where a huge number of people either aren't involved, aren't paying attention, or we're allowing people to promote agendas and ideologies that are absolutely un-American. In fact, I'm going to shift gears a little on you, and you can pull me back if you need to, but the more I think about 2016 and the presidential election, which will be what leads what happens in this country politically, I have come to the conclusion that it really isn't about the people we think may be best qualified or whatever. We need a qualified person, certainly. But we need to decide whether, and by we, I mean those of us on the right who are conservative, which is basically your listening audience and people who read my stuff and people like that. We need to decide whether or not we're going to go through the same old mess once again that we did in 2012 and 2008 and back as far as you want to go. Or do we want to make America a winner again? Mm-hmm. We haven't been a winner as a nation really since World War II, when was the last time we chose to win a war. Since then, we have abandoned winning in everything. Everything's now about equality and everybody being treated fairly and every child getting an award, Zeb. And so we need to look and realize most Americans pay no attention whatsoever to the news. The number one rated news network is Fox News, and on a good night, on their best nights, they get barely over 1% of the population watching them. We need to say who can inspire all these people who aren't involved, who are so self-focused, and that's the candidate that needs to do it. Now, I happen to have a view of who I really think that is, of those who said they're interested in running. But whether it's my opinion of who that is or not isn't the point. The point is we need somebody who can inspire America, and so we can't look at things the way we did in the past. We need to look for somebody who can really get the average American who's not involved to say, yeah, this is important. I want America to be a winner again, and I'm going to vote for this person.
Yeah, but
I think that needs to change the way we look at coming up with a candidate for 2016.
I agree totally. But now here, let me just throw this into the fray just a little bit, Doug. And going back to Major General Craig Olson, the Air Force general you were talking about just a few moments ago. Here's a guy that wanted to stand up. He wanted to stand up for his religion. He wanted to thank God for all the blessings that he has had in his life. And then he is attacked by the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, and they are threatening to court-martial this man and strip him of his generalship and everything he's earned in his career, and good people are afraid to stand up. So what do we do?
Well, the first thing is we have to understand that it will probably get worse before it gets better, if it can get better. And standing up is going to mean a lot of people are going to suffer severe retaliation, all the way to going to jail. It's very possible in the very near future Christians will be put in prison in our country for being a Christian. It's very, very possible. Mikey Weinstein, who runs the religious, whatever it's called that you just named, I know who he is, because he created a lot of havoc down here at the Air Force Academy and caused them to do all sorts of things that were ridiculous. He speaks for a minority. Less than 1%. There's fewer people in America who claim to be atheists than there are who are gay.
That's right.
That's how small a minority it is.
That's right.
We need to say to these people, you know what? You have a choice. You can either accept America as it is, or you can leave. But we're not going to make changes just because you're whining. You're not hurting anybody. There was a judge recently who ruled in a case about where a student sued because they were offended by the term of under God in the Pledge of Allegiance in the school, and the judge ruled and said, you're not being hurt at all by this, so take your case elsewhere. And it was a very small case somewhere I heard about, but I thought that's excellent. we can't let ourselves go down the path any further than we've already gone, Zeb, because what's going to happen is it's going to get worse and worse, and there won't be a future for our children. So we need to stand up, and that means whatever the price is. If that means it costs you everything, if that means they drag you off to prison, it's whatever it is. And those are hard decisions, especially for people who look at their family and love their family. And just imagine for yourself for a moment, just imagine maybe you're, say you're in your late 30s and you have a nice family with a few kids, and, you got the family dog and the whole thing, and everything's wonderful, and you decide to take a stand, and if they drag you off, your family is going to have no support of any kind. But you've got to take the stand and allow that to happen, as bad as it may be. They may even drag your wife off, too, and your kids will be taken by the government. But we have to make a decision. If enough of that goes on, that's how you stop them. But it has to be so large, it has to be so huge, that it will stop them. And the first people who do it will be the ones who pay the highest price, because initially they're going to come back hard on them, but over time, if enough people stand, there is a possibility of stopping it. But it's going to be a very serious price. People have to be willing to give up everything to do it. And those are more than just words, Zeb. I know you know that.
Oh, I couldn't have said it any better, and I think that it's on tape, and I'll reuse a lot of what you just said. But I am so concerned that people sit back and they'll say, oh, that's such a shame. Oh, did you see what they did? Oh, my goodness, somebody should do something. And therein lies the problem. It's always somebody else. It's either always Doug Johnson or it's always Zeb Bell. Why don't you do something? Why don't you say something? But I get a little frustrated because I need numbers behind me that will support these different causes instead of sitting there listening on the radio saying, oh, that's too bad.
Well, that's right. I mean, let's keep it on a national scale for a second. If these kind of things were going on in America 200 years ago, back in the early days of our country, I personally believe you would have Americans literally in Washington demanding to drag the administration out, not just the president, but anybody who stood for this stuff, out and say, you're done, we've had it. Now, well, in fact, the fact is that they've broken so many laws, they would imprison them. But today we won't even consider that. And that's not recent. They allowed Richard Nixon to break the law and resign as long as the Democrats got control. Then when Bill Clinton got in trouble, and he was clearly guilty of committing perjury, the Republicans circled the wagons with the Democrats in 1999 in the Senate, and they wouldn't convict him even though he was guilty, because they were more worried about protecting their own little power base in Washington. And these are the people who control the Republican Party today. As I say to many people when I speak, I hate to say it, but the Republican Party is not your friend. There are some good people in the Republican Party, but it's controlled by people who are not our friend. And this is where we need to be making change. And the change has got to be made. And Zeb, I haven't been on in quite a while, and I feel like I'm picking up where I left off with a broken record. But the fact is the change is made in the primaries, not in the general election.
That's right. You've
got to be involved in the primaries to get the right candidates. If you're not, you have 2014 midterms all over again where people didn't stand up in the primaries. As a result, the establishment Republicans controlled most of the races, and they won, and they maintained control of the party. It doesn't work that way. You can't wait till 2 months before the election to get involved. You've got to be involved in the early days, getting the right people in there and running them for office and getting them in there to make changes. If we don't, we have the same problem all over again.
Yeah, but Doug, let's talk about the other side of the aisle for a moment. I know you've written about it, and I've written about it in my blog also, but here we have Hillary Clinton. Here we have nothing but scandal. Here we have nothing but sleaze. Here we have nothing but under-the-table graft and corruption. And yet she is the lone candidate, if you will. I mean, everybody else is an also-ran if they want to jump in. And she is visibly high on the mountain for the Democrats for the nomination for president. How? That's a statement on the status of American thinking right now. How can this woman, with all the scandal and all the problems, be as held in esteem as she is today?
Well, you're right, but, we have a nation that looks the other way. And I'm going to go back quite a ways. They looked the other way when John Kennedy had affair after affair, and it was known. It was no secret. I grew up knowing it. As a little kid, I knew it. That was no secret. We accepted him because he was part of Camelot. And we can go through history and look at all the scandals we've seen in presidencies. But when Bill Clinton, good old Hillary's buddy-in-chief, was president, America went even a step further and said, it's not really that he did something wrong. It was personal. It's in his personal life. It doesn't really affect the rest of us. So we'll go ahead and elect him. And since he's been out of office, even though he was disbarred, even though he was shown to be a terribly scandalous president, everything about his presidency was scandal, he still is considered an icon in America. He's still looked up to. He should be so looked down upon that he wouldn't dare show his face in public. He should be shamed, but America doesn't do that. We say, a president. Zeb, in 1993 or 4, I was doing a lot of business in Washington, and I worked very heavily with a big law firm there, and most of them were Democrats, and they were very, very heavily involved doing lobbying for the Clinton or with the Clinton administration. And I had to go to Washington on business, and I called my friends because they were good guys, even though they're Democrats. We got along well, and they said, "Hey, while you're going to be here, do you want to take a private tour of the White House?" And I was bringing my wife along. She had never been to Washington, and I said, "Yeah, that'd be fun." And he said to me, "Do you want to meet Bill and Hillary? I can arrange it." And I turned him down. And later, I won't go into a long story here, we don't have the airtime, but the bottom line was, I let him know later, I have no respect for people of such lack of values, such lack of morals. I'm not going to give them the credence of showing respect to them. I'd rather just not meet them. And he was shocked. He said, "You're the first person I've ever met who wouldn't meet the president and first lady." And I said, "If it was a different president and first lady, I might. I won't meet them. I refuse." My point being that we should, not that I'm the role model, but my point is we should shun people of such terrible character, and we don't. This is the whole issue we talked about earlier in this conversation about the morality of America. We accept these people. Instead, we should shun them. In the church, we are taught in the Bible that you shun somebody who does not live a godly life, and you push them out of the fellowship and say, you cannot have fellowship with us, you cannot be part of our church family unless you live the right life. Our society should be the same way.
Absolutely. Wow. I'm glad you're back. And, of course, the great author of many books and also the Horse Sense blog, Doug Johnson. Final thoughts quickly. I got about 30 seconds left.
Well, final thoughts are we all have responsibility, but I think, it goes back to what we said before, Zeb. This is really important that we talk to the people who don't know. If we just talk to those who know, we're not really making any progress. We've got to engage people who don't know, befriend people who aren't involved so they can understand how much danger America's in. This is not so much about you and I. This is about our children and grandchildren. And we've got to think in terms of their future. No matter what it costs us, we have to save America for their future.
Doug, I just absolutely enjoyed having you back on our program. God's blessings to you and your wife back in Colorado. Thank you so much, and hopefully we can get you back on the air next week. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Doug Johnson. And anything you want to plug as far as your books or your blog, please go ahead quick.
Well, they can certainly check out the Horse Sense blog. This is a business plug, but for what it's worth, in the next few weeks, and I'll put it both on my blog and on my business website, there will be a sign-up for a free new newsletter I'm going to be putting out with business tips.
Okay.
Trying to help business in this terrible economy. And so we're going to start putting out a newsletter to that effect, and they can keep an eye on that, and maybe next time I'm on your show, I'll give it a plug. They can go and sign up then, because I should have it up in the next week or so.
All right, Doug Johnson in Colorado. Thank you so much, my dear friend. God bless. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Zeb. You have a great day.
Thank you very much. Good to have him back on the show, and I appreciate Doug Johnson out of Colorado. Before we send it back over to our main studios, I want to remind you about Streamline Precision at 120 South, 100 West of Burley with our dear friend Tim Vaughn. Don't forget the number to call for estimates on anything you need built, 431-7314. That number again, 431-7314. And Streamline Precision is a family of companies providing construction, excavation, and fabrication services. And believe me, they can build anything on your property. They're an authorized dealer in Sioux Cup, Chief Balin, and Nucor buildings. And also, they're putting up a lot of grain bins for on-the-farm grain storage right now. And currently also building the brand new Funk Dairy straight south of me right here in Murtaugh. Get a hold of them today. They are the professionals. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. Number to call, 431-7314. Tim Vaughn at Streamline Precision. We're going to take a little break and be right back. Zeb at the Ranch, don't go away.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, welcome back. In our last half hour, Zeb at the Ranch, and I want to remind you, too, on Thursdays, we have a program called Gardening for Idiots, kind of named after me because I'm not much of a gardener. But I'll tell you what, it's sponsored by Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. And Vicky's Country Garden has everything that you need for your garden or flower beds. All sorts of vegetables, plants, petunias, everything. And she can give you all the gardening tips you need for a very successful gardening season 2015. Vicky's Country Garden in Paul. The number to call, 438-5663. Also, our thanks go out to Lennox Home Comfort Systems through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, offering rebates on qualified Lennox Home Comfort Systems, whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, or a heat pump. You and your family will always enjoy the comfort. Call Ramsey's today at 678-0459. And don't forget, Ramsey and Lennox Home Comfort Systems, saving you money. Right now, let's go to the phone lines, and with us from the Cassia County Extension Office with the University of Idaho is Mr. Joel Packham. Good morning, Joel. How are you today?
I'm well, Zeb. How are you?
Not bad. What is going on in your world? And I would imagine this time of the year you are extremely busy.
You know, we just finished last Friday our sign-up for 4-H for the year, and we're really excited. We have a huge group, and I think things are really going well, and we're looking for a very, very successful 4-H year.
You know, Joel, it wasn't that long ago, and I remember maybe it was 4 or 5 years ago, we were hearing kind of a death knell for 4-H. People weren't joining. There wasn't the interest then. Have things changed regarding 4-H?
Well, I think that we're very healthy. I think that our project numbers are up, and at least steady. In some projects, I'm sure they're up, and are like the shooting sports type of project, that's just gone off the charts in our county and many others. And so I think it's doing very well. I think these young parents are deciding that their children do need something to do for the summer, and they're really trying to make sure that they have good projects for their children to accomplish, and I just see that really as maybe as a trend that we can see that's happening in the 4-H world.
You mentioned shooting events. Explain that a little bit, Joel, if you would, please.
Well, I think our group here is spending most of their time on archery. That seems to be very popular here. I know over in, here also and in Minidoka counties, there's a very active shotgun club within our shooting sports, and so these children that take these classes, they get very, very specific training, safety training, and very specific training on how to operate these guns and or bows and arrows, and how to take care of them, and of course how to shoot and target practice and competitions and all of those kinds of things that really make this a very popular project.
Are there other projects that are being looked at and will be or hopefully will be incorporated into 4-H? In other words, how does 4-H accept different projects?
You know, we have something called a self-determined project. So if someone has an idea of something that they want to do, they can just say, I want to do this project, whatever they make up, and we will accept that. I mean, we're going to make sure that there are, that things are done as correctly as possible, that we have some kind of oversight. But I'll tell you, you can do anything you want in 4-H if you want to put together a project.
All right. Well, and I would imagine it takes a lot of really good adult leadership. Is it hard to find good leaders?
It's always hard to find really good leaders, but I think for the most part, parents are taking charge and wanting to be a part of this. They realize that their children are only going to be home for a little while, and a lot of parents are really taking the initiative to come and be involved, and that is such a help. I mean, there's no way this program can work without parents that are willing to put forth the effort and be leaders. And so we have many parents that are really taking hold. Of course, we can always use more. So when parents are involved, we have a very, very successful program.
Joel, what else is going on there with the University of Idaho Extension Service? I know you've got a lot of different projects going on.
We do. We have coming up next week. We have a low energy sprinkler application tour that we're going to go on. It's a new project that we're working on. It's actually got sprinklers that almost drag the ground under a pivot, and you have virtually no evaporation, at least from the spray of the pivot, and the water savings is really phenomenal. Now, it does take some retrofitting to get your pivot to be able to do that, but I think we're going to show that it's fairly effective, and I think we're really excited about this project. That's going to be out in Malta, and that's going to be next Friday on the 29th, and we're just really excited for that tour. We also, go ahead.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. We also have a range monitoring workshop coming up on the 2nd and 3rd of June, and in both in Malta and in Oakley, and that's an all-day type of a thing where we actually go out into the fields with producers and show them the best ways to do range monitoring that are actually going to be accepted by BLM and Forest Service, as well as have been very well accepted in the courts. And we think that people really ought to be doing their own monitoring if they're going to stand up and be able to work with the agency so that they have data that is very current.
All right. Are there a lot of changes going on all the time in your world with the Extension Service? I mean, do you have to really keep up on day-to-day or week-to-week changes?
Well, we just had an annual conference for the extension system throughout the state, and one of the things that they said in that meeting was the very most constant thing we have in our world is change. And so get on board and don't be afraid of it. They want us to really embrace that and to keep up. And that means we have to do a lot of reading and a lot of looking and trying to attend meetings so that we can try to keep some semblance of up on what's going on, with all the things that are moving forward. And I think there's a lot of research that's going on that is really going to be helpful. And so, you'd think we would know everything about so many things in 2015, but we find that there's always things that we don't know.
Do you, along with other states, do you get together at maybe conventions or whatever and kind of compare notes as to how maybe Utah or Colorado or Arizona's extension office is being run and maybe other ideas that might help you?
We do that, and there is a group of the western states that meets together very often from our leadership of extension in Idaho will go meet with those people, and they work together. And plus, as we get together with different extension groups, we have our own groups that we work with. We definitely work closely with other states so we can. We often find out what they're doing through these meetings that we have with them on a yearly basis, and then we are able to help in their research or assist with them in making it more region-wide so that we can do research in just more than one state, which is usually very valuable in improving something. So, yeah, we see that a lot, and that's very, very helpful.
Joel, I want to say anything that you want to bring up real quick this morning? We got about 2 minutes left in this segment. Go ahead.
Well, I know I just sent out a newsletter, and I'm really excited about entrepreneurs and the work that the people are doing within this area. We have, I think, a tremendous growth, and it's not overly fast, but I think good quality growth in this county for entrepreneurs to come and be a part of the excitement and the economy of the Mini-Cassia area. It's just huge. And I really find that to be one of the more exciting things that we have to work with as we offer classes in QuickBooks training or Excel training or financial management. I think those are areas that all people need, and we certainly encourage businesses and farmers to be involved with these kinds of things and be able to run their businesses the very best that they possibly can. And I'm really excited about the climate that we have here that I think is very inviting to businesses.
All right. Joel Packham, University of Idaho Agricultural Extension Educator. I got all that in. God bless you, and thanks for being on the program this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Zeb. Good to talk to you.
You bet. Same here. Time for the weather real quick, and then, Wheels, I've got a special favor to ask you in just a moment. Don't forget the weather is brought to you by Scarrows Meats. They sell taste one bite at a time at 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to call, 324-7657. And they've got that $300 tax return meat package, beef and pork and chicken and cheese, all of it absolutely delicious at Scarrows Meats over in Jerome. We're going to have more, but right now here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers for Zeb at the Ranch. There is a saying about the weather pattern known as El Nino, and where I'm going with this, it's pretty simple because weather people figure that if they tell you about something like El Nino, you're supposed to get it and move on with life. Well, you got lives, and now I'm getting ready to tell you that an El Nino is getting ready to kick in full blast. So what does that mean? A whole heck of a lot of rain. Yeah, you're going to be raining from the day all the way to Friday, and your temperatures are going to be on the cooler side to the point where this is the part where you're going to, you get to Wednesday and you're going to go like, is summer going to be making its way here? And let me let you in a little secret. You think you got a lot of rain up there? You ain't seen nothing until this puppy kicks in down here in Las Vegas. But I'm not talking about Las Vegas. We're talking about Twin Falls, Idaho. So you're looking for showers today, 68 for the high, 65 for the high tomorrow, 68 for the high on Wednesday. It's just going to be rain. It's going to be yucky. So this would be a good time for you to think about things that you can do inside, because it's not going to let up until possibly Friday. But sometimes rain is a good thing, right? Right. So at Zeb at the Ranch, we have a saying. Every day is a good day. Some days are better than others. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael. Brought to you by Scarrows Meats, and they're located at 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number 324-7657. They do sell taste one bite at a time. Wheels, I've got a favor to ask. Are you right there? Turn your microphone on if you are.
Can you hear me?
No, I can't. You're not talking directly in the mic, or you got a different switch on, one of the two.
Oh, sorry about that.
There you go. I've got a favor to ask. I've got to leave for a doctor's appointment in just a moment, so if you could finish out the show with a little bit of music, I'll have my good word for Magic Valley Les Schwab, and then I'll turn it over to you. Is that all right?
Yeah, I'll look up a song and see what I can do.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, ready for summer travel with the free pre-trip safety check and all the great tires. Yes, sirree, they've got all the tires to give you safe driving this summer, including for your pickups and SUVs, the Wildcat AT2, all-season traction and smooth, quiet ride. Check it out today at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, along with the best in brake service, the very best in front-end alignment, shocks and struts, all of this and much more with service, absolutely the best in service, with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, the best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I've got to head for the doctor, and we are going to wish you and yours a very special day. We're going to be back again tomorrow morning at 8:06 right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Wheels, thank you very much. Take them up to news time with a little music, and we'll see you tomorrow morning right here on Zeb at the Ranch.